It's also entertaining to get his take on the Chris Jericho speculation. You know, we just touched on this a few weeks ago where Jericho went on his podcast and said something along the lines of TNA looked like the second biggest company behind WWE. He's, of course, talking about their success at Bound for Glory, where they claim they had over 7,000 folks. And he compared that to the way the TV looked for AEW when they ran the ECW arena. And we both sort of agreed here that he's playing chess. He's trying to create a little leverage, get a better deal for himself. But if it was a swerve, bro, for him to come back to AEW, I think you and I both really like that idea. Of course, Jericho came up in this conversation with Ariel. Let's take a listen.
What's the state of Chris Jericho's relationship with the company?
Chris Jericho is somebody who's in AEW and has been with us from the very beginning. He's been away from us for a bit, but
since April, right? His last appearance was in April.
Yeah, and he's somebody that's had, even this year, great matches with Bandito, somebody that's been a world champion for us and was really, at the very beginning of AEW, absolutely as key and instrumental as any individual in the launch of AEW. And I love Chris personally and professionally. I just reached out and wished him a happy birthday recently. I'm very excited about everything Chris has done in AEW, and he continues to be with us. And, he's always
Is he going to be back?
I can't speak to that, but I love having Chris in AEW, and he's always welcome. The door's always open for Chris to come in.
What is the reason for his departure for now?
It's a very good question, and it's some of it comes down to just working out the dates. And
is his deal almost up?
I would rather not get into that, but also I respect you asking about it, and if I could give as much information as possible to try and keep a very constructive dialogue.
Do you think we'll see him back in AEW?
I hope so. I absolutely hope we'll get Chris back in, and a star like Chris Jericho, you negotiate a certain number of dates, and Chris has always been really great about being one of those wrestlers in AEW that when he's in, he's all the way in. And if you think, he's always really been a full-time part of the show.
Sure.
And at first, when we started, we talked about finding ways with Chris and Fozzy and his band to keep him involved because he was such a central figure as the original AEW World Champion, as Le Champion. So there were times where Chris would have videos in Dynamite or make appearances. Even when he offered John Moxley my dad's car, that was actually my dad's car, to join the Inner Circle in Jacksonville, Chris was actually on his way to the Tokyo Dome, and we had filmed that over the holidays, knowing Chris was going to be going to Japan. So he filmed this video that we played for Mox to watch after the Mox versus Trent match in Jacksonville on New Year's Day. And then Mox himself then left for Japan right after that. But it was Jericho was wrestling Tanahashi and got over early to do media. And that was on the Tokyo Dome in 2020. And it's amazing to think now here we are almost 6 years later. And Chris has been a huge part of AEW from the very beginning. And we started out early like, okay, how can we find ways to, keep Chris involved if he needed a week or two off. And then pretty soon Chris was just here every week and wanted to be here every week. And we love having him. So if we can work out all the dates and all the things, I would always love for him to be here. But he's one of my favorite wrestlers, and certainly he's as instrumental to the launch of AEW as anybody.
He's giving him his flowers in a big way. And of course, people are all speculating that, hey, Jericho's a goner. He's definitely going to WWE. What do you think of the way he handled that question?
I think Chris's financial planner is smiling from ear to ear right now.
I think that's fair to say.
He's negotiating. Chris is always negotiating. We've both known people that are just born salespeople, and it's always be closing. They're always closing something. They can ask you if you wanted a cup of coffee for breakfast, but there's a closing statement in there somewhere, right? Chris is always be negotiating. That's what Chris is doing. And it's gonna pay off really. It has paid off really well for him. Chris is one of Hulk Hogan said it to me, and he probably didn't originate it, but in Hulk Hogan's mind, whenever somebody would ask him, who's the best worker in the history of the business, Hulk would always say, the one that made the most money. And Chris is right up there. So he's doing a great job.
He is doing a great job. I wanted to show you this. I'm sure it's probably been a long time since you've seen it, but it was recently posted to Twitter by our buddy Alan. And it was the handwritten notice that Jericho gave you that he was leaving. Do you want to read that to us, Eric? It's dated July 26, 1999. It's a handwritten letter from Chris Jericho to Eric Bischoff. What's it say there, Eric?
Yeah, it says, I just wanted to express my appreciation to you for giving me the opportunity to work for WCW. I'm having a hard time reading it. I really enjoyed it, and I won't forget the favorable experiences I had within the company. I hope I have the pleasure of working with you again in the future. All the best, Chris Jericho. I really appreciated that. Chris is a genuine guy, and he made the move he had to make. He was determined. He knew when he got to WCW that it was a stepping stone to WWE, and he knew he had leverage. He was ready, and he lost all his patience. He wanted to go. He wanted to be in the main event, and he made the move, and I couldn't respect him more for doing it.
Hey, everybody. So by now you've heard me bragging about saving people money at savewithconrad.com for years, but I thought, you know what? Don't take my word for it. Let's ask someone who really did save with Conrad. Let's welcome in Tyrus. Tyrus, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good, Conrad. How about yourself?
Man, I'm delighted to talk to you. I got to ask, what made you come to Save with Conrad originally?
Well, first, I'm a return shopper, if you will. I was listening to the podcast years ago now with you and Bruce, and I just figured we were in the mode for a refinance, and I heard you guys save money, so I called you guys, got hooked up with Jimmy way back then, and that's really how the ball started to roll.
So initially you were interested in lowering your monthly payments, or did you want to knock out some credit card debt, or what was your goal the first time you went to savewithconrad.com?
It was mostly just to get the lower rate, but there's a little bit of credit card debt in there too, so we rolled that all up.
And you got a cheaper monthly payment on the other side of that?
Yeah, yep. And with this time that I used, it saved me quite a bit a month. Yeah.
So let's talk about what brought you back to Save with Conrad. First of all, thank you for using us not once, but twice. I appreciate that. But that was your needs back then. When was that? Was that 2020 that you did that before?
Yeah, it was around that, maybe 2019, somewhere around that.
Okay. So now a few years later, your needs have changed. What prompted you to go to savewithconrad.com this time?
Well, we were looking to refinance once again because we bought during the high rate time. And we had, a little bit of credit card debt, and we thought, why not hit that refinance button? And originally, we were thinking, why not just go through the national brand that was servicing our loan? I called one of them over there, and he crunched the numbers, and he said, no can do. Sorry. And then I thought, I'll just stay with Conrad again. And I called, and the delightful Frances answered, and you know her.
Oh, yeah.
And the first thing after I told her what the national brand said, she just said, are they stupid? We can save you money. And she got the ball rolling. I worked with the OG Larry and saving $425 a month.
All right. I love to hear that, man. $425 a month. I love that, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
If you had someone who was on the fence, because I know that there's a lot of people who just know me as the wrestling podcaster, but if you had someone who listens to my pods and they're on the fence about whether or not this is a real service and can he really do this? I mean, what would you say to that?
Absolutely do it. It worked for me multiple times, from Jimmy way back when to Francis and Larry. Just the whole team. They just had nothing but great things to say. They're easy to work with. They worked well with the inspectors and everything like that. It's just a great experience, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to help save you some money, and I would be delighted if we could help save you and your family some money. Do what Tyrus did. Go right now to savewithconrad.com. You can talk to a live person, get a quick quote, or just drop us an email directly at conrad@savewithconrad.com. And of course, we can still do it the old school way. Give us a call toll free at 888-425-0105. Thanks for all the time today, Tyrus. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Conrad.
NMLS number 212, non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.